If that is the sound you are looking forward to hearing in 2021 because you either have a wedding coming up or maybe you're in the industry, this podcast is definitely for you. And what am I doing? Talking about weddings. I won't be, but my special guest is. You're listening to Black Ram TV's podcast, Gaining Ground. My name is Daniela Siggia, and I'm Chief Strategist here at Black Ram Media Group, and we do weddings. But people won't think that because when you look at our website, you see that we mostly do corporate stuff and commercials and things of that nature. But we do get the odd, not the odd, actually several every year, bride and groom that call us because they want some fancy kind of media coverage. And so when COVID hit, we got hit, definitely. So today my special guest is Marlene Gallyot, and she owns a bed and breakfast on Niagara-on-the-Lake that has a chapel on it and a barn and all sorts of stuff. And she's a wedding officiant. So we're going to talk to her about the wedding industry, how it's changed, how it's impacted brides, grooms, their families, and how brides that have always dreamed of that big, beautiful gala are still able to make their wedding special, even if it's small. So you're going to get lots of ideas today if you have a wedding coming up. And if you're in the industry, later on, we talk about how government has kind of undermined the industry a little bit, at least the ones trying to recover. So as they usually do. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. And to enjoy some visuals, what we're doing is we've got some pictures of Marlene's vineyard that you can see, or sorry, her chapel on the vineyard. And we're also going to show you photography from Black Ram Media Group, the weddings that we've covered over the years, and some really pretty shots. So see if you can pick out the celebrities in that group. Anyway, so enjoy the show. Officiant Marlene Gallyot from Niagara-on-the-Lake. Marlene, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show. Such a privilege, Danielle.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us because you've been amazing to watch online during this whole COVID saga. And just to give our audience a little bit of background, Black Ram Media Group, although our specialty is corporate, we do some wedding every single year in terms of photography and videography. So when COVID first started, Marlene, all of a sudden in the beginning, all these weddings started canceling, and all the other photographers, videographers, event planners and stuff that we know started getting hit with a barrage of cancellations. It was like an apocalypse almost. Did you find that as well when COVID first started?
Um, Mine was very different because the way my house is situated with a nice big backyard, I actually got more busy. But yes, you're right. Like photographers, big venues, and all had a big hit on this whole COVID issue, right? So they started reaching out to people like us. They wanted something unique. And I was so fortunate because initially I didn't know just building a chapel in my backyard was going to become so popular. And I have a bed and breakfast right there on the property. So when people came there, they used to visit the chapel. And so word went around, and I started getting calls that if they could have these little micro weddings.
And that's what I saw, and actually why I wanted to speak to you specifically today, because again, because we do weddings as part of our business, I follow
Mhm.
a lot of wedding officiants and event planners and things of that nature, and their Facebook and Instagram went dead, because they just weren't
Mhm.
doing anything, where yours got all of a sudden so busy. And just to give people some context about your property, because I've had the privilege of visiting. So, like you said, it's a bed and breakfast on a vineyard. So the view is a vineyard, and you have a
Right,
massive property. You also have a barn, correct? Like a wedding,
right.
because I've seen some gorgeous stuff done in the barn. And
Yes.
then, and so it's not like a barn bar, it's more like a barn converted to an event space. And,
Yes.
and then you built this little chapel. And when I first
Right.
saw that chapel, I thought, she's building a chapel. What is that about? And sure enough, didn't it become handy when all the churches closed?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Initially, when I built that in memory of my parents, and I noticed that a lot of people who pass by or they stayed at the B&B love to visit, take pictures. And when I started doing more brides, I used to go to their venues, and when they knew what I had, they started realizing that this was the best because it was safer, it had a lot of open space, and there's such a big trend after this COVID where initially brides were looking for big venues. They wanted to spend a lot of money. It was bigger the better. It was, they wanted to have something more of a status kind of a thing. And I don't know, because I'm a very diverse person, and I know that most of the diverse communities or the ethnic communities have very large weddings. So for them to suddenly make a switch on everything, l- there are two different types of brides. One where they learn to accept, the other one where we call them bridezillas, where who wouldn't accept the fact that this was not possible for them this year. And so, yeah, go ahead.
The bridezilla turned out to be our best customer because when they
Really?
realized that I can't have that status thing, I can't have
Yeah.
200 people in the
Mhm.
room, then they started doing things like investing in live streaming, right? So
Right.
so they would have that small micro wedding you talk about, but then would
Right.
have us there to either live stream it or to get really dynamic photography that maybe over and above
Right.
the budget they would normally spend on that sort of thing.
Hmm. All I know is that this whole story with the virus has affected all of us and humbled every one of us, especially the new couples. And they brought family together. Before, family was not involved. You know, I think most couples started detaching themselves from families and doing their own thing. And now it's amazing where all families get together, and then they realize that this was the most important thing. And the gifts also became much more affordable for people that came to visit for the weddings, or sent them gifts, because initially they had to pay uh, big amounts of cash because the venues were expensive, so the expectations were pretty high. And I always tell my brides, no matter what, when you love each other and you want to get married, make this commitment, they have to first realize that the most important thing is the two of them and their family. And and love will take them through any crisis. And your wedding may be canceled, but love isn't canceled, and that smaller could be better.
And
And
you're so creative in terms of the diversity that you offer in terms of those, because first of all, to look at a small little chapel overlooking a vineyard, you'd have to go to France to get a view like that normally.
right.
And so you offer that. So you got the vineyard, you got the backyard, but then if you want instead the boho barn thing, you
Hmm.
have that available. So you offer
Right.
a variety. And then I wonder if brides know about the backdrops that you offer,
Yes.
because
So I didn't realize that I would not just be an officiant, but I landed up being an event planner. And that was like a hobby for me. And so I took my chances. I invested a lot of money because now I know there's a new trend for smaller micro weddings, as they call them. And people are interested to have all that good quality that they used to get for, on big venues, that they can even have it in smaller places. So I brought everything all into one spot. So and before, they didn't realize that, like I said, the venues are big, but now rustic has become more popular. People like the outdoors, people like the rustic venues, and they're willing to go for these small weddings. I think it's becoming now, like, we've learned so much about family values during this whole process, and now I think families are more involved. And I think that this is going to be a new trend. I think brides and, grooms and all these couples all have to realize that things are different, and they've got to be flexible on what they when they try to book with any venue. And their expectations should be a little lower, and people should also know that booking a venue, don't book it by the month, book it by the season, and they should work with the season. try to book a venue that, you with the season makes you, be confident that it's going to work out as an outdoor wedding. And you have to have the options for an indoor if you do have an outdoor venue. And they have to learn to also support small businesses, because I consider myself a small business owner. And if this COVID thing wasn't there, I would not have been so busy. But
Right.
people, yeah, so I think this gave me a big opportunity. And I'm also shocked, as much as most people, that I was actually very busy with me. And they've already booked for next year, because after seeing what a unique little space that I have,
Right.
they feel that this will be a perfect fit for weddings.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And
Oh,
I'm going
thank
to go
you.
back to the backdrops because it's now I've been again because of what we do. We've been to a lot of weddings, and a lot of wedding officiants have these cute little curtains they'll hang behind you, but it's so hard to get a tight shot without showing the edges of the curtain because they're so
Right,
small or whatever. And yours are elaborate because you have that venue space that you can
right,
really do them up. So your backdrops are very elaborate, and you did the one over Christmas that I even had to animate for you because it was just so gorgeous, right?
right,
It was like being in a winter wonderland. So I feel like in your case, when they book with you, I don't feel brides are getting less or have to lower their expectations. They're very grand, the things that you do for them. It's just that the attendances, when I look at your wide pictures of your thing, you see that there's only 10 chairs. You know what I mean?
right,
Or whatever it is.
right.
But when you get that
Hmm.
tight shot of the bride and groom in that beautiful, gorgeous setting, it's so opulent that it doesn't feel like it's a pared down wedding. At least the people
Thank
that
you.
get to look at the pictures that couldn't be there, right?
Right, right. I think, Danielle, I think you should have a passion for what you do,
And you
and
definitely
be
do.
committed to this. And I think I love my job. I love, and I have the opportunity of not just officiating, but decorating and making sure everything goes well from A to Z. And this is what that's the interesting thing about what I do. And nothing better than, getting two people married, right?
Oh, it's so beautiful. That's why I love following your page. It's all you
Oh,
see the
thank
happiness
you.
come from your page. And it's
Thank you.
beautiful. Now, when you say families are starting to really get closer when it comes to wedding planning and being more involved, how do you kind of see that changing? Like what was the difference? How are families more involved now than they were before?
Well, I think before, with this younger generation, or even with the older ones, they wanted to go onto these large venues. They had event planners, and they had all this fancy stuff, and they always kept the parents behind. I think the parents paid for most of the weddings most of the time, and so they were not really fully engaged and involved. And guest list was definitely like not just 100 but 300, sometimes 500. I
Right.
have a friend that has a venue that has 1,700 people that could sit in one spot.
Wow.
So that's a lot of people. But with the small weddings, they have to decide now. From 50, it became 10. So now who do you invite? That's the most important people in your life. It's your family.
Yeah.
And you have to pick and choose, and it's not easy sometimes. So, and then they get the family to start doing little things like little favors for the wedding, the invitation cards. And I feel that, like, parents, when they came over for the small weddings that I've done, were super excited to be part of it. The sisters were the bridesmaids, the mothers got involved, bringing in their kid to get married. Lighting of the candle became so popular, where the family took part of it. The sand wedding, where the colored sand was put as uniting families together. These are all things that we usually never see.
Right.
And with this micro wedding, it was wonderful to see family getting involved, getting engaged. Even though sometimes I don't use my own backyard, I go to their backyard, and to see them decorating their little space in their backyard and trying to make it pretty, it became such a united, intimate, fun thing to do. And that's what marriage is all about. And I always tell my brides and the grooms as well, I have all the decorations that you would like, anywhere that I have purchased right now. And I can, from rustic to modern to whatever, I have it all. And so you want to get married in my venue, great. If you don't, I'll come to your venue and decorate it the same way. So I think it's pretty exciting. I love it that like it's become more of a family thing, and the Zoom, which even I had to learn to do, it's become so popular. Look at us; we are now able to communicate through this new technology, and bring family together. And like you, when I said family, it wasn't just like the immediate parents. The Zoom had all their grandparents involved,
Right.
the seniors that they were not able to come for the wedding, or could
Right.
not be able to come even in big large weddings that they used to have. Now Zoom has become popular.
Right.
So I like the fact that like we've learned to do that, and it's a new trend.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I do too, because that's become, where we're not getting because it used to be the big weddings that you talked about, we were guaranteed to book two videographers, two photographers for 12 hours a day. That's a good booking for us, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's because it's so small, they're hiring one photographer and one videographer. But
Right,
then what started to happen was brides started to realize, well, wait a minute, if I don't have to feed 300 people, I can get the
right,
better dress. I can,
right.
you know what I mean? Get, and like in your
Hmm.
case, get the vineyard on Niagara on
Yeah,
the Lake, right? So then
they
what
get the best of
oh,
all both worlds, right?
for sure. So then what they started doing is having really elaborate engagement shoots, or when they
Right.
would shoot the wedding, they would want, special photography or a
Hmm.
dynamic video that told the story of their relationship so that they could send this really fancy video to their family, not just,
Right.
doing a Facebook Live, that sort of thing. So they started to spend money just in a different way.
Very true.
I'm just grateful that we were included, in that.
I think that moving forward, both you and I are going to be super busy because now we've learned what's going to happen in the future. We've learned the most important things that are needed for a wedding. And photographers and the videographers are going to be super busy because, like you said, they would rather spend more money on capturing the moment and these memories than to have a lot more people.
Yeah.
They are willing to spend, brides are willing to spend a lot of money. And I think that we both will be busy. I'm hoping that we both will continue to be busy.
Me too. Well, nothing kills love, right? And
Right,
people have
right.
found a way to be together and celebrate love and marriage through a lot worse things than this, in the world.
Right.
So weddings have always been a thing, and they've always lifted the spirits of families. And I know we had an engagement announced in our family, and it just lifted everybody's spirits. You know what I mean?
Right.
It
Very true.
Yeah, something to look forward to. And I've been in situations where I couldn't attend a friend's wedding, but then I was
Mhm.
eager to see the pictures on Facebook, and I still
Right.
felt like I could be part of it. Well, now with technology, you could really be part of it.
Amazing. Of
Yeah,
course. Very
yeah,
true.
yeah. So
Very true.
great.
So,
Any other trends you see coming for brides for 2021 that you think they should keep an eye out for or consider?
well, I think brides are, the couple, they're all becoming very smart right now. First, they have to definitely check the contract whenever they book a venue. They should have that option to change or to rebook. And because a lot of them lost a lot of money.
Yeah,
And I think that's going to be the first thing that a couple would look forward to, is to maybe there's going to be insurances on these things too. You never know, because I think that's another option for them.
right.
And the trend will be that now they will realize that booking a venue um, would be more expensive, even because I think the smaller the amount of people, the more expensive it will be, especially in very large venues that are high end. And so it's not going to be cheap for them, even though they have small venues and big places. But definitely they're going to go more for the outdoor spaces. They're going to definitely learn to practice the social distancing,
Yeah.
because this is going to be a long time before it becomes a normal thing for us to be the way we were before. I don't know when that will happen. And being careful on cleanliness and practicing even that part of it on, sanitizing things and who they book with is going to become a totally new trend for them. But
Hmm.
I don't think anything will change when a couple gets married. They're willing to do whatever it takes to just make it special for themselves. And but I definitely think that outdoor spaces are going to be the new norm now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the safer bet, right? But that also
Yeah,
means that you're
yes,
limiting the
for
season,
sure.
like you said, right? So now it's a shorter season to book. So maybe when you
Yeah.
go in, don't say, I want September 15th, just say, what do you got? And
Yes, yeah, they should not, yeah, they should take any opportunity to book whatever they get right now, because for the next few years, all the venues are pretty busy because all the canceled couples' weddings are all moved to next year.
right.
So brides may not even find something for next year or the year after next.
Well,
And
and
so,
do you think the Saturday wedding is going out the window on this subject? Because if
I
you're only having five, six people, 10 people at your wedding, and you don't have to accommodate 500 on a day everybody has off like a Saturday, do you think that's going to be a good
100%.
thing? Yeah, eh?
100%, because my weddings moving forward are booked for Sundays, Thursdays, Fridays. And I think you're right about that, because it's going to change. 10 people, immediate family, is not a big deal, right? So
Right.
they would do it that way. I think we all have to get used to this new trend now. And
And Marlene, just for the information of the people listening, when they book a wedding with you, are they able to also book the bed and breakfast so that they could spend their wedding night there?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do that. We make a package for them. So
Okay.
it's much easier. The bride gets ready right here. The place is decorated for her, and and the officiant is right there on call, right? So it's a perfect spot. We have parking spaces. The only thing that I would like to see is like small places and small businesses like us that have the opportunity to do safe weddings in our backyards should be accepted by municipalities and governments, because everything that people like us do are always questioned. You can't do this, you can't do that, not this, not that. So how are we going to make a living for ourselves? So initially, when I had the bed and breakfast, and weddings was not on my agenda at that point, and I just liked being an officiant. So, and I could have done that anywhere.
Right.
And so now I have the space. I've got what I need for a small wedding. And there was lots of restrictions, especially coming in Niagara on the Lake. But now the mayor has been a little more flexible, I think, and not interfering as much as to what we do, as long as we follow the guidelines.
Right.
I think they should give us, like you and me, the opportunity to make a living.
That's
And
fair.
they don't do that for us. Like every time you do something, you have to pay big bucks or you have to be shut down.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like, I mean, what's wrong in doing something which and it makes the place look beautiful too. It's not just that you're going crazy and having a crazy dirty backyard. No, we want to decorate it, make it look beautiful, and they should appreciate that and encourage us to move forward and do our businesses. I think home businesses should be given immediate and chances to open up and to run independently without interfering. And that's what I think would be so nice, so nice for all of us.
Yeah, as a registered lobbyist, I could say that municipalities are famous for intervening in business in a way that is not helpful at all.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
I think that's a key thing. If they want us all to move forward, want us to have a nice, safe way and a healthy lifestyle, they should let us do it this way. And I've taken insurances, of course, for the B&B. We have insurance for the B&B. So for every spot of my house, I've taken an insurance for
Right.
the chapel, for the barn, even for my shed that I have. That I made a pretty shed that looks like a Victorian little home.
It's gorgeous.
Everything had to be insured.
Yeah.
So they must understand that when you buy a commercial insurance, it's expensive. All the things that we do are expensive. Our time, our efforts are all expensive. So why not give us that opportunity to make a living and not be left out, trying to fend for ourselves? I think that's very important.
In a case like yours where you're able to provide these services in a very, you are the safe alternative, really. It used to be that they would drive to the church and then drive to the
Right,
hall, and now you've got these small things. They don't leave your property, you know what I mean? It's
right,
usually only people from the same household anyway.
right,
They're even
right.
staying there for the honeymoon, so
Right.
what
And
more do
what's unique, yeah, what's unique in my place is the way it's built. It was built by an architect, which has two small homes connected to a hall. It's one house, but a B&B, they have a private entrance, and I don't make any breakfast. I put you the breakfast there, the continental breakfast that what we provide. But you have a kitchen, you have everything there on site. So it's 100% safe, 100% private. So it's unique and I love it. I hope that we can all move forward next year, and like all of us learn how to navigate through this process between the governments and between small businesses and whatnot. And I think in the future, I'm sure even the couples will get used to this way of life, and 2021 will be
Yeah.
a new trend where it's all simple, it's family, and they will realize that making those commitments when they get married and the promises that they come forward with are meant to be taken seriously, and that it's all about two people being in love and starting a family of their own. And I think you and I will be busy, and because there are a lot of people that have decided, even if they were living together, that they want to get married now.
Yeah.
That's another trend that I've seen, is that, oh, okay, we stayed together for 10 years, but now we decided to get married.
Why do
And
you think that is? What do you think all of a sudden why people who
I
before.
wonder if I wonder, I think it's the fear of an unknown world today. You know, it's our time was COVID. Maybe with our parents, it was something else. But I think it's a sudden scare that, and also not making a commitment also has ways on the way their, um, you know, when things are divided after they die, or, it's going to be complicated as well.
Yeah.
Getting married could make it safer for them to make that work out properly. So they all are trying to get their act together and, put everything in order. I think that's something I've noticed. And it's not the young couples that I've done. I've done a lot of people that are in much older, and getting married and trying to change their lifestyle. A lot of people seem to want to get married now.
Hmm.
So that's something I've
That's
seen,
very
which I've
interesting.
not
I did
seen
not
before.
know that. That is a very
Yeah.
interesting thing.
Yeah, so it's very nice. I'm happy. I want you to get married. I want everyone to get married because I love doing what I do. And I love decorating. I love and also I'm super reasonable because I understand what everyone is going through these days.
Yeah.
And I try to do the best for you, right? So from A to Z, I can start. Of course, I'm so happy that uh, you could be part of my team as well, and I can be part of your team, because that's what it's all about. It's like sharing our work with each other, and
Absolutely.
that's the only way we can be tight as a society.
Yeah, there's the family, and then there's the society family, and
That's
that
correct.
the people in your circle, the people in your community, and collaboration is definitely key, especially at a time like this. And Marlene, tell me, I'd like people to be able to reach you for brides that are thinking of getting married and are looking at Niagara on the Lake. Yours is, if I had to do it, it would be at your place, Marlene, and it would
Oh,
be you.
thank you very much. It'll be my pleasure.
And can I give you a compliment also for people that are listening when you're choosing an officiant? You know, I've been, like I said, I've seen a lot of these, and there's so many times that sure they might be on time or whatever, but you have to remember that, especially now where we don't have big photography sessions with big, you know, crowds or whatever, it's you, your spouse, and the officiant. And if the officiant doesn't present well visually, that's going to impact your wedding photos. And I have seen officiants hold their cell phone, keep the vows or whatever in like a crappy plastic binder, you know, or they don't dress nice, or their backdrops are kind of shabby. And there's only so much Photoshop we can do.
Oh,
So one thing I appreciate about you is that you always look so elegant. Your backdrops are beautiful. The way you present is very beautiful. You know, I remember doing wedding photography that on a gig that we did where the wedding officiant had put her black cell phone with a bright purple lid on, like, on the floor at the base of the 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 backdrop,
the
so
podium. Yeah.
we could see the phone in every shot. You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tacky.
Thank you very much. That is very sweet of you. Thank you. I
Oh, and I know that brides don't think about that when they're booking an officiant, you
Mhm.
know. So, and you are impeccable. Your stuff is
Oh,
impeccable. So,
oh gosh, thank you. Now you've set the bar so high, and I have to. Okay, I'm on officiantondego.ca and littlechapelweddings.ca, and also I'm on Wedding Wire, both for my officiant work in Niagara on the Lake and for my Niagara weddings and decor. And I always mention to them, I'm a very diverse person. I respect every culture, and I always make sure to get to know the couple so that when I even choose their music, I want to incorporate some of their own ethnic music while they are signing or after they sign. And they're super excited about that. So I don't tell them, okay, that I know your culture very well. So when I do the wedding and they're coming down the aisle, I have the song that they choose or whether I choose for them. And then they sign their paper. Everybody's very serious and happy. And then I start off by putting their own music, and they are super excited because I think it's so very important. A lot of couples are not just living in this country, but they come from other countries, and a lot of them are like either on work permits or as an immigration consultant. That's how I'm looking at it on that aspect.
right.
So, and they come in as students, and love is something you can't change, so they get married, but they don't have their parents around there. And I noticed that they are used to their traditional weddings, so I try to incorporate what they would miss, and the parents that are watching on Zoom are so thankful that I do such things for them.
Because they
So that's
feel
something
represented.
that right. So it's important that when you choose an officiant, I think the person has to be compassionate, has to know your culture, and try to make it work for them that they would be happy, but also their parents who are not around will be happy. So I think that's what I love doing. I love this job, and I don't. I'm not expensive. I try to work with your budget, and just make it possible for them to have a memorable time and a good and happy time, right? So that's what I'd like to do.
And it doesn't get more romantic than a vineyard view at Niagara on the lake, right?
Right, with all those grapes, and
Oh,
and the option is if it rains, you're inside. If it doesn't rain, you're outside.
oh,
So it's
well,
perfect.
I've been to her place. The inside is as beautiful as the outside, so you won't
Mm,
miss a beat.
Thank you, Daniela. It's
Marlene,
amazing
thank
for you
you.
to promote people like us. We need people like you who understand and try to help small business owners like myself.
Oh,
And I
thank you.
truly appreciate this. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. And I also wish you the very best for next year. And, you're doing amazing things. I've also watched you constantly online, and with you juggling around with your personal life, your business life, and your love for pets and animals. I love that. I have so much respect and for you as well. Just to let you know that
Oh, Marlene, thank you for that. That's really
I
touching.
do.
Thank you.
I am so honored to know you, and you inspire me a lot.
Oh, thank you, Marlene, so much. Well, let's get more people married so we can work together.
Yes, let's get it done. Thank you.
Oh, have a
Appreciate
great day and thanks again for joining us.
you too. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Well, folks, I hope you found that helpful and that you are inspired to throw the wedding of your dreams. And you see, we've posted the links there throughout the show if you want to reach out, and we also will post them here at the end. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you find that helpful. If you'd like us to cover other industry topics or other ideas for trends coming up, please let me know, and I'd love your feedback. You can email me at Daniela at blackrammedia.com. Have a great night, everyone.